Welcome back to Talking Lamar. On this episode, I'm talking about my trip to Japan. Konnichiwa, arigato gozaimasu.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about.
What are you talking about?
I am talking to you.
That's just what I was talking about.
It's Talking Lamar.
You know, my daughter, Kaylee, lives in Japan with her husband, Shige, and she's got 3 kids. They're 6, 4, and 1.5. And we hadn't seen her in 5 years and actually had never met 2 of the kids. So we were very excited to get there. But, you know, it's a tough and a long trip. And so we're driving to the airport and Carla's like, I'm getting claustrophobic. Only 2 more hours and we're trapped. And I'm like, I said, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it would be beneficial if you didn't use the word trapped. I mean, we're not in a hostage situation with black bags over our heads. I mean, we haven't even got out of South Carolina yet. And you're already hyperventilating. So we get to the airport and we get checked in, and I've got a torn meniscus in my left knee. I can walk, but I can't really walk far distances without getting uncomfortable. So I had requested a wheelchair just to go from gate to gate. So they got me the chair, but it was going to be a while before they could get somebody to push it, and we really need to get to the gate. So I told Carla, I said, you're going to have to push me. So she piled up a bunch of bags in my lap, and we're pushing down the road, down a thing, and she says, well, I guess this makes us even for you pushing me when I had that broke ankle. And I don't know if anybody listening, if you know, she broke her ankle a few years ago, and we're in Panama City for a week, and I looked at her and I said, let me go ahead and explain something to you. I said, you were pushing me on a tile floor down a terminal to a gate. I said, I pushed you in sand that was 4 inches thick at 102 degrees on the beach for 7 days. I'll let you know when we're even. You just keep pushing. I mean, because come on. But one of the funny things that happened with the wheelchair deal, on our way back, we get to Detroit, or we're getting, we're at Detroit. We're getting on a plane to Detroit, from Detroit. And so we push up there, and the lady, evidently they needed a wheelchair or something. And she said, can you walk? I said, yeah. It's no problem. I just can't walk a long ways. I said, I can get into the plane. That's no problem. I said, let me get up. So I put all the bags down, and I'm sort of struggling to get up out of the chair. And I'm like, if I can get out of this chair. And this little boy behind me, he's about 9 or 10 years old. He goes, you can do it. I believe in you, mister. I felt like I was in a black and white movie. Everybody's laughing. And there's a guy at the counter, and he says, well, you sure got to get out of it now. I said, let me tell you something, buddy. After this kid's encouragement, if I have to crawl on my hands and knees to that plane, I'm going to make it.
That's so good.
It was so funny. But we get on the plane when we got to Atlanta, going on the trip. We get on the plane, and we're sitting on the side with 3 seats, and the plane is filling up, but nobody's taking our 3rd seat. So I'm intently watching every person walking towards us. And if they're traveling alone, I'm willing them in my mind just to keep going. Don't stop. And so Carla leans over and says, I said, shut up. I said, don't you say it. If you jinx it, you can think it, but don't speak it. Just keep concentrating. And I continued to watch these people coming down the aisle, and I made no eye contact. And finally the door closed, and I heard those magic words, prepare for departure. Booyah! We hit the lottery. An empty seat. And because it's an international flight, it's empty seat beside you and free liquor. This is Redneck first class at its best. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, there's nothing like having that extra seat. It is just great. But, even with the extra seat, it's hard to sleep on the plane. And, I use a CPAP machine at home, and now they will let you use it on the flight. You have to have a battery to run it, but they'll let you use it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to take the CPAP machine. And so when you put the CPAP machine on, you do look like an idiot. So I just covered my whole head and body with a blanket. So I look like an idiot, but a different kind of idiot. But even that, if we slept 3 hours, it's a 14-hour flight. If we slept 3 hours, I would be shocked. I mean, can you sleep on a plane, Cherry?
Not without like pharmaceutical assistance. And even then it's choppy.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, even then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And that jet
we'll
lag.
talk more about that after this break.
Yeah, let's pause because that jet lag, Lamar.
Yes.
So a 14-hour flight where you barely sleep. I know that you were having the cartoon birds spinning around your head the entire time you were there, and probably still today now, right? From the trip back.
Well, the going part, it wasn't quite as bad. For some reason, it doesn't affect you on the way, but on the way back, because on the way back, it actually from door to door was 32 hours. From the time we got up at their house and got to our house, it was 32 hours. And we only, like I say, a couple of 3 hours sleep at the best. And so that was on Thursday night when we got home. I slept for 15 hours straight, and I think Carla slept for either 12 or 13. And then all we did Friday was just sit around. I mean, the whole weekend was just like, oh my God. I'm feeling better now, but it's taken a while. I mean, it does. It's a real thing. I don't know how people that travel a lot like that. Maybe they get used to it. I don't know. But
I don't know either.
The thing about it.
Well, I was going to say, I want to hear about the food because I followed your trip on Carla's Instagram, and I know Carla's not a sushi eater, but I had two questions for you. One, I want to hear about the food, and then the other, I want to hear about you doing a back sort of trust fall into a small inflatable kiddie pool. Son, I know it's a torn meniscus, but did you also have a head injury? Like, what were you thinking?
I saw that.
Well, let's talk about the food first. You know, the last time Carla and I went over there, Carla about starved to death because it's an island, so there's a lot of seafood. And Carla doesn't eat seafood and sushi and stuff, so whatever. So she packs ramen noodles and stuff. She packs all, but we get over there and then sort of changed up, and we cooked a lot at home. And I took Shige's parents out. We took them out for dinner, and so we went to a Wagyu restaurant. And you're at a long table, and there's two grills on the table, and they just bring you platters of Wagyu beef. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the beef tongue, if you've never had beef tongue, and Carla had it the last time we went. She'd already eaten 3 or 4 pieces, and she said, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, it's beef tongue." And she said, "Well, I can't eat that." I said, "Well, you've eaten 3 or 4 pieces?" And she goes, "I know, but it's in my head." So when we sat down, the first thing they brought out was a beef tongue. And so I said, "We're not going to talk about this, but and so she said, 'Look, I got to pretend it's something else because it's so good. I got to keep eating it.'" I mean, it was tremendous. It was absolutely tremendous. And then Shige's parents, not to be outdone, on our last day there, they sent over a box of Wagyu beef for me and Shige to cook on the grill. Oh. So I can't. I mean, they were ribeyes. They were. It was every kind of cut of beef.
Word.
I mean, I eat beef until I was in a stupor. It was unbelievably good. It was great. And I tried, and you saw on Facebook, I tried out some of the crazy stuff that you see, like the eel cola and stuff. It was still pretty good. I mean, I don't know. The food's great over there. It's great.
Talk to me about eel cola.
Well, we saw it, and I said, okay. I said, let's get, so I got some flavors. I got strawberry grape, then I got eel, and then I got another one that was some sort of hot stuff or whatever. And so I'm thinking the eel is going to be terrible. I really am. And I'm thinking, this is going to be funny because it's really going to be terrible. But, it tastes like a cross between a Coke and a Pepsi. Had a little bit of the taste of both of them that maybe was a little bit flat. Didn't have quite as much fizz. It was not hard to drink. It really wasn't. I mean, I was sort of shocked.
Eel cola, not eel colon. Because I'm thinking to myself, is there any other part of the eel you could eat other than the colon? So it's colon. It's eel cola. Okay, I just want to be clear on that.
Okay. If it was eel colon, it would be called eel chitlins. Okay. But it was pretty good. But no, the whole deal with the swimming pool, there was a lot more water in that swimming pool when this day started. Okay. And I thought there was still a lot more water in there because they were splashing around and Shige was diving in and jumping around. And I'm like, I'll show you. So I walk up there and I crossed my arms and I fell straight back. If there was 2.5 inches of water, I would be shocked. But I didn't look. I did not look. I thought I was falling back into a foot of water. Okay. And a foot of water, that would have felt completely different. But that inch and a half to 2 inches of water, I felt that ground a lot quicker than I expected to. And that ground did not give away. And so Carla stopped filming. She cut the phone off. Thank goodness, because I rolled from that to a fetal position. And Carla said, "You broke your back?" I said, "Boy, I hope not."
Oh, God, Lamar.
But now the kids loved it. They said, "Do it again."
I saw the video. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, "No, we're not doing that again. We're not." Now, here's the other thing. We took them to a water park. And so we're at this really nice water park. It's got these big wave pools. And so we'd been there about 15 minutes. And so we're headed to the wave pool. And a lifeguard stopped us. And, of course, I couldn't understand him. He told my daughter, he said he would have to cover up his tattoo if I wanted to get in the water. Because in Japan, evidently, you're not allowed to get into a public pool if you have uncovered tattoos. And so I had to go put a T-shirt on. And I asked my son-in-law, I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Well, it's because of the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia, because, their entire bodies are like covered with tattoos or whatever." So I'm assuming they thought I was associated with the South Carolina branch of Yakuza or the Yakuza, the Moonshine Division or something. I don't know. But
I think anyone who knows you knows that you're affiliated with organized crime in Japan. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah. But it was so much fun. The grandkids playing with them. They have lizards, okay? They have lizards. And so every day they have to go catch crickets and spiders.
As pets?
Yeah.
I see.
As pets, yeah. And so they have to go find crickets and spiders. Hannah, who is the 1.5-year-old, she's out there trying to catch crickets and spiders with her. I'm like, boy, I'll watch y'all, but I'm not participating. She wound up catching a lizard. And she turns around to hand it to me. And I'm like, I do not want this lizard, but I cannot not take this lizard because she's looking at me with this big smile like she brought me something. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I said, thank God it wasn't a spider because I don't know what I've done because I can't deal with a spider. But, yeah, they're living a life like nobody's business. I mean, they're having a really, really great time. They're having a really
how do you, I mean, I just have to ask, like, God, they're so far away. Isn't that hard?
It was leaving was terrible. But here's why I'm saying it. We FaceTime with them a lot. And so FaceTime now is different because we have been there and we've held them and played with them and think about this. The whole time we were there, 100% of the time that we were awake, we were with them. We had some intense time. I mean, that was every day, every hour of every day. And they were running us like, ragged. But so now when they FaceTime, I think it's a little bit bigger deal for them because they know. But you can't go over there but every couple of 3 years. I mean, it's too expensive.
Much. Yeah. And they can't really come here.
Gosh, no, because a family of 5, you're talking about $10,000 for plane ticket. Plus, them kids, they wide ass open. So they get thrown off the plane halfway here. They wouldn't last 14 hours. Them people would be jumping. I mean, no. They wild. But sweet as they can be. But we had really good time. It was a lot of fun.
So
if it wasn't for the coming and going part.
You've been there a few times now and you've had all sorts of different adventures. Like, what surprised you other than the fact that the eel cola, not colon, because Max, if all they fed him was an eel's colon, he's hungry. That seems like it would not be much. What surprised you?
Shige's parents, they don't speak English, but they got Shige to translate it. And they asked me the same thing. What do you find really surprising about the country? And after I'd told them this, I'm hoping they took it in the way I meant it. But what amazes me is how they hold on they're very futuristic. They have stuff over there. I mean, they're very forward in technology and that kind of stuff, but they still hold on to the old ways. Because when you're at the airport, when you go into the bathroom, if you go into one of the stalls, they have the toilets that have the pressure washer, a hair dryer. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you get a complete workout when you sit down on that toilet. And you can pick how warm the air is to dry your butt. You can how hot the water is to clean you. I mean, it's ridiculous. But then you can go to the stall next door and it's a porcelain hole in the ground with two things to hold on to. So the old ways, they don't get rid of the old ways. They keep them, but they also go as far as possible in advanced technology. I just think it says a lot for the country that they are constantly inventing new things, but they're not giving up on the traditional old stuff. I think there's something to be said about that. And boy, I tell you, it was hard. Listen, it was hard to leave my grandkids, but it was really hard to leave their bathroom because that toilet, I'm telling you, man, those things are awesome. They're awesome. It's just an amazing technology. I'm just telling you, it's an amazing technology.
So the pull quote from this is, I hated leaving my grandchildren, but that toilet was...
Wow.
And on that note, I think we're going to shut down this latest episode of Talking Lamar.
I'm so glad you had
Thank
fun.
you so much for listening. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for listening. Please tell everybody to listen. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.